Good Saturday morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Hope everybody's well. That's the main thing. Hope everybody's got some good plans for their weekend. Hopefully it's bench time. I know that's something on my list for today is to try and get some bench time in. But first, yeah, it's probably my last weekend to get a few things winterized, finished up. Um, it's getting cold. It's getting really cold, and I feel that snow could be upon us very, very soon. So we gotta get shovels out. Gotta get the RC trailer put away. Some things done on the vehicles. A few little odds and ends, and then we'll probably do one more pass on some of the leaves. And that will take a good portion of the day just in itself. And then that way there I can get ready to take all that stuff off the tractor and put the snow thrower on the tractor. So what we got today is a little bit of everything. We've got a shop card shout out. We've got another product that we picked up, and I got a little Q&A thing that we got a few questions that came in yesterday that stemmed from the guests that we had on the AMC show last Thursday, which was Tim and Debbie Casper from Casper Builds. So I had a couple people that very nicely asked to have some clarification on what it was that Tim was discussing about how he goes about his body work. So I don't do it exactly like Tim, but I can kind of explain because I understand what he's shooting for. So let's flip this guy around and we'll get right into it. Remember, if you like this content, give me a sub, give me a thumbs up, and leave me a comment. I appreciate all the comments. I really do. So something I got to get better at is commenting on all your folks' videos. So let's flip this guy around. All right, so here's the shop card I received. David Parsley's Custom Scale Emergency Models. Really cool card. Love it. I don't know if anybody can pause that and use the QR code off their phones. But he does a lot of really great emergency vehicles in all the different eras. There's a lot of patience with some of them. He left me some kind words. All the little detail in the chrome and all those parts, and they're fine and they're fragile, and you got antennas, and I mean, wow, some really nice stuff. I know there was a cop car, like a 77, 78 Fury cop car that he did in one of his builds. I think it was, 5-6 months ago, something like that. Turned out phenomenal. I love that stuff. So definitely I have a couple cop cars that I want to build for diorama purposes, and I don't have any fire trucks. I know I have some like semi stuff, some garbage trucks, things like that. I think I have an earth mover. So definitely gonna, when I get ready to build those things, definitely go back and watch more of David's videos to get some clarity on approach for some of the ones that I want to build. You know he's gonna have some tech tips in his videos. So if you haven't already, go check out David's channel. Give him a shout, and I know he's got a really good following. I think he's almost 3,000 subs, something like that. So he's got a really good base. So I'm sure a lot of you people have already seen David's stuff, and I think you see him on the Facebook. I don't go on there that much because just Facebook is more drama than it needs to be. So with that being said, thanks again, David. I'm gonna get your shop card sent out to you today. I have a few others to get sent out. I really appreciate that. So what did we buy? So what came in the mail, I showed a few people the other day that I got the auto color set from Gaahleri, which is part of the Kaleido Colorworks system. And for me to properly use that, because that paint dries really fast, I wanted a retarder to slow it down so that it can level out. Give it the best fair shake possible when I go to test it on a body. And so instead of buying the little bottle, I bought the big bottle, and that part number is KT202. To me, it's it's worth buying it. I'm sure, being that this is an acrylic base, you know, type of retarder, probably very similar to what the Tamiya stuff is. Maybe not, but you could use it for your Vallejos, all your other stuff. So I bought the large bottle. This is the 210 milliliters, so 7.1 fluid ounces. This is only like 12, 13 bucks, something like that for the big bottle, and that will last you quite a bit. If you're gonna go strictly to the Kaleido paint system, then it's worth buying a couple of these. Sure, if I like this stuff, I'm definitely gonna buy a lot more of this product, and we're gonna go from there. I'm still always gonna use my automotive paints, you know, my automotive solvent-based paints, because I like those paints. And you get different paints for reasons of authentic, you know, putting more authentic look in your paint. Like me and Joe Tollard from Big Sky Model Workshop were discussing how, you know, like enamel paints work really good for short track cars because they're just quickly painted. You got texture in them from the enamel, and that's the way short tracks were. So if you're going to do a short track, you leave that texture in there, and he's 100% right. So we're going to have multiple paints for multiple things. And generally, I try to get my paints ordered before it gets cold because I don't like leaving them on a truck freezing. And since I was ordering that, I decided to order the 12 metal colored set because you need some metallic metallizers to do some of that stuff. We're going to do spoon tests today. Now, this kit here has basically 12 colors in it versus the paint markers that you can get from Gaahleri. So the markers are a 10-piece set, and they have most of these colors basically. So there's 10 colors in here that are from the marker set, just so you're aware. I'm sure people have already said that. And I believe the colors that are not included in the markers is this titanium alloy and this pure copper one here. And I could be wrong, but this is going to be a neat set. I love the markers. The markers have really good color and tone, and so that's the reason why I wanted to do that. To be honest with you too, these water-based acrylics, as far as metallizers go, and you start thinning them out and you start hazing them on in different layers, you can really change the tones of your parts to get that real authentic metal look. So I'm starting to really like the acrylic metallizers more than the solvent-based metallizers, and that may just be me and the way I airbrush or whatever, but I really am liking it. So I'm really optimistic to see how this set works as well. But I'm so glad this showed up today because I needed this right here for the other set. And then we're going to do some spoon tests because we have a couple bodies that are in primer. And then after the spoon test, we'll figure out from there whether we're going to use the Kaleido on those projects or we will save the Kaleido for another project. So this is a well worth purchase for me. And if this works out really, really well, I know I'm going to be ordering the rest of the sets and more of this stuff to have in stock. So that's why I really want to get on the spoon tests today so I can get this stuff ordered before the temps get really, really low. All right, so let's put this back over here. So the Q&A was, Jason, your guest Tim was talking about doing body work without using primer and fillers. So why would you do that? You know, he was cutting everything into the styrene is what he said. So, okay. So what we got here is a box baggy kit that I bought, just the body, at NNL North. And it had primer on it. And the main reason the guy, I think, primed a lot of those bag bodies was because they were mismatched. So as you can see here, you got a gray body with a white hood. All right. And he just threw some lacquer primer on there, real simple, no big deal. I paid $4 for this thing. Came with the windows, all the chrome pieces, the lights. It's a great for buying as a slot car, whatever you want to do, diorama. You're $4. I mean, that's nothing really. But instead of me throwing into the purple pond, I just used the primer as a guide coat to sand it. And so I just put it away and wasn't going to do it. But since these questions came in, I thought, well, this is a perfect candidate to show what I do and kind of explain why Tim does the way he does when he said that he tries not to use fillers. He tries to cut down the styrene. And so a lot of people from the naked eye, when you pull the thing out of the box, you'll see your mold lines that you can have because they'll stand out. They're really pronounced. And those are easy to sand off. But what a lot of times, until you really start getting into the motion of cutting down into the styrene, you don't see a lot of those low spots like what we got here in the fender. Couple of things here, right around the door jamb here as well. So where you're seeing primer, this is completely block sanded. And where you're seeing primer, those are all low spots. So what he tries to do without using primer is get this body perfectly flat by cutting it and sanding and doing all that body work into the styrene, being the styrene so thick. And then he puts on his coat of primer, and his primer is just strictly that, the adhesion barrier between the plastic and the paint. He's pretty much done at the point of cutting into the styrene. And so it minimizes the amounts of fillers and anything like that you got to use. Eventually, like he said, you could, if you deepen these lines, you could gouge in, then you got to use some filler, you're kind of stuck. And he's got, his ways of using filler, whether it's super glue or I can't remember what that powder was that he used, but I know some guys use like baking soda and super glue. Some guys use a liquid styrene that they concocts out of the extra thin. But whatever you use, you just want to make sure that it's not going to shrink and have more pinholes. So like this area here, you may be able to get this perfectly flattened out and cut down to take that void out of there. And I think that's exactly what Tim was explaining to us all, was how he gets all of these body lines and all of these surfaces flat into the plastic with using minimum to none of bondos and fillers, and then same thing with the primer. So like right now, you could easily primer this again if you wanted to, and now you're going to use this layer of primer as your first layer of filler, and then if you blocked it again, you may have to do it again, and you're going to also be building up. So what he wanted to do was just cut it down, and you can see this stuff. So like, to me, I like using the primer to do this because then I get a better visual of all the sagging in the plastic from the injection molding. And you can see that stuff in the roof too. I mean, look at this huge low spot right here. This has all been block sanded like you would with a real car. Even right here where this mold line was, there used to be a mold line here. There's still a low spot there. There's low spots in the trunk. Even right here where these holes were, that they put some Bondo in there. Some looks like the white Tamiya putty. So we got to pick that out of there. And then fill this the way I would want to fill it in. But the way this thing was molded, you got this huge high spot here in the plastic. So yes, you can have a lot more work into that, but do you have to do this? No, you don't have to do this. You can take your body out of the bag and you can shoot primer on it. You can shoot the paint on it if you want. However you want to build your model, you build your model. But with painting and stuff seems to be always the hot topic that people want to know what the tricks are. Well, the trick basically comes down to is just have some patience and don't be scared to attack it and sand it and try and put more product on it when it comes to the paint or whatever. You're going to have difference in every kit, whatever. And this is not bashing kits at all. This has nothing to do with it. This is all part of manufacture process. You can see here on this side, look at the huge low spot that goes all the way below this body line right here. The low spots in the door jambs here. Now this body I don't think has been panel drug out. I don't think that was done that way when this guy primed it. I think this thing was probably just built at one point in time and whatnot, because the windows were glued in it. But regardless, it's going to be resurrected, and it's a great tool right now to show you what body work would need to get this to be a really flat, shiny, predominant, body line sticking out, all that stuff. So this is to me, a really good display, and I hope this is helping answer some of the questions that I got. And I know there's probably a few of you people in there going, oh, duh, I know how to do that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's great. But not everybody understands what some people are talking about. And so this is my idea of a great visual aid to show what I like to do anyhow is use the primer as a visual thing of where my low and high spots are. So like, again, this was all done in 180. I'll probably go over this again in 180. I just kind of left it be as it is. And I will basically sand the majority of this out completely. Most of this primer will be gone. And then I will put another coat of primer, a real thin one over it, and I will then block it out again. And if that looks really well, then I'm going to do one more last coat of primer and then I'm done. So I don't use a lot of fillers anymore because I've had problems with them as well. But there is going to be those points and times where you have to use some. And so for me personally, I use automotive body filler that has minimum amounts of sag. And I have used super glue, but super glue can get very, very hard and it can be very brittle as well. A lot of guys are going to the resin, the curable UV style resin. Some guys are using that. Tim kind of brought up something about using like a resin based, it's a UV cure putty. I haven't looked into it, but I definitely will look into that product as well. And if I purchase that, I definitely will show everybody that product. So let's flip this guy back around. I hope that was helpful. You can see right there, you can see the sags in that plastic. Like I said, you wouldn't see that until you put primer and you do the block sanding. This is what a lot of your guys that go to the shows a lot, they go through all these steps. They really do. Even if there's probably guys out there that are just shelf queen model builders, and that's fine. They probably go through a lot of these steps too. I can tell you that it can be very therapeutic to sit and sand and work on this. I mean, myself, I don't watch TV a lot. I like to have YouTube on, and I will go through a lot of your videos. So a lot of people ask, well, why don't you comment a lot on the videos? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I put your guys' videos on there and I listen and I look up as I need, as the conversation is getting to me about what your topics are. And then I'll look up, but I'm working on my models. So a lot of times the videos just kind of roll into the next to the next. So I do watch your stuff. I really do. So I got to get better at commenting on your stuff. That's no doubt about it. But another thing, I was just looking at this too. So like on real cars, I'll take tape and I'll run tape down the body line to give me a visual aid. If you don't want to use primer, you can just take like a 1/8 strip of tape or 1/16 and just carefully run it down your body line, follow your body line, and then sand on the other side of that body line up to the tape. And that way there you're not distorting the body line or lowering it or raising the body line or waving the body line. And then you can take the tape off, put it on the other side of that body line, and then sand the next side of it. That's another good way to reference stuff. But for me personally, I like to do it like this. This helps me out get the visual. Let's face it, we're all getting old. Eyesight's going bad. Everybody's got headgear, all that crap. But get yourself a crappy model. If you're into model bashing and you've bought all the Pro Street kits and you robbed all the chassis out of them to put in other kits, you probably got a ton of Novas and you probably got a ton of Chevelle bodies laying around. They're perfect for practicing techniques on. So with that being said, I think we're going to end this video. It's getting long enough. I'm going to get my chores done so that I can come back in here, because I'm kind of getting jazzed up here about doing some more work and watching some more videos. So with that being said, I hope you all have a good rest of your weekend. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out, everybody. Enjoy.